If you love me, please don't judge me. Got my hands tied, the power's above me. Don't shoot the messenger, I'm just a puppet here. If you wanna place blame, then look to the puppeteer. Family, fortune, envy, jealousy, privilege, passed on, legacy, secret, sabotage, borderline, felony, suicide, subtract, selfish, pedigree, yeah.
So yeah, I have a lot to say about this Charlotte Roval race and that bullshit at the end of that race. That entire finish at General. Everything about that race. But before I get to that, we're going to start calmly first before I lose it. We're going to start calmly and talk about all the other races that happened first this weekend. So all the races that had less meaning this weekend go first, and then the races with most importance go last. So yeah, we're going to talk about the Cup race last. But yeah, anyway, let's get started with this recap. So first off, we had the ARCA season finale at Toledo Speedway. Of course, we have two drivers entering for the championship. Nick Sanchez entering with a 2-point lead over Daniel Dye. So for Daniel Dye, his goal was very simple. He just had to finish 3 spots ahead of Nick Sanchez. But if Dye leads the lap, he would have to finish only 2 spots ahead, because in the event of a tie, Nick Sanchez would hold the tiebreaker off most wins. Sanchez's goal is very simple. He either has to stay right behind Daniel Dye and stay close to him, or he just has to finish ahead of Dye. So yeah, the championship was very close between the two. So, of course, the race, it started off with Daniel Dye leading the first opening lap. So that gives Dye 1 bonus point, which meant Dye only had to finish 2 spots ahead of Nick Sanchez to win the title. Of course, much of this race, though, it was immediately dominated by Jesse Love. Love dominated the majority of this race. Even despite Grant Enfinger bushwhacking his way into the ARCA series, oh, look, Grant Enfinger's doing the Brandon Jones thing, too. Wonderful. Why the fuck do we have now Xfinity and Truck Series regulars, Legion, and ARCA? God damn it. Yeah, and of course, throughout the race, though, it just seemed like as the race went on, Daniel Dye just was getting loose, and that car was just getting worse. Until Nick Sanchez was able to catch up after having a bad starting position. Like, the championship throughout the race flipped back and forth until around 60 laps to go. Daniel Dye would break a toe link in the right front wheel. Break a mount in that right front wheel area. And that would force Daniel Dye to retire from the race. So with 60 to go, with Daniel Dye retiring from the race, it means that Nick Sanchez officially clinches the championship with 60 to go. So Nick Sanchez wins his first ARCA title. So congratulations to Nick Sanchez on winning the championship. He was well-deserved title from him all year. Congrats to him on that front. You know, had a really good season, deserves the title. But to be perfectly honest, though, part of the reason he won this title is because Sammy Smith didn't run the full season. Because let's be honest, if Sammy Smith ran a full ARCA season this year, Sammy Smith would have easily ran away with the championship. Because Sammy Smith would have had a Ty Gibbs type season or a Corey Heim type season, etc. So yeah, but hey, Nick Sanchez is still respectable in his own right. And for Daniel Dye, I know Daniel, and yeah, it would have been kind of funny if Daniel Dye won the championship. Because entering this race, regardless of who won the title, we were either guaranteed our first Hispanic champion in ARCA, or we were guaranteed our first driver in any racing series ever to win a championship while also serving jail time during that same season. Because, oh yeah, remember earlier in the year, Daniel Dye ruptured a kid's testicles in high school and had to serve some time in juvie for it. So yeah, that would have been kind of funny if Daniel Dye won the title after all that. But Daniel, even though you lost the championship, Daniel Dye does get a consolation prize. Because Daniel Dye locked up Rookie of the Year. So yeah, even though he lost the war, he at least got the Rookie of the Year as his consolation prize, I guess. But anyway, we would end up getting a late battle for the win between Jesse Love and Grant Enfinger battling for the win. As both of them raced each other aggressively until 2 laps to go, Because when both of them were racing each other side by side, that opened the door for Sammy Smith to come up to both of them. And then Sammy Smith would then do the bump and run on Jesse Love and force Jesse Love up the track along with Grant Enfinger. And Sammy Smith rockets straight to the lead with 2 to go. And Sammy Smith would pull away in those two laps. And Sammy Smith would get the win in Toledo to end the season. And also with Sammy Smith winning, it means that the 18 car for Kyle Busch Motorsports wins the ARCA Owners title, the team championship. There, see? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? Sammy Smith would have ran away with the driver's title if he ran a full season. What could have been? And of course, we then get to after the race, the whole shenanigans after. When Sammy Smith was getting ready to do his burnout, Jesse Love would try and interrupt him. So yeah, we interrupt Toledo 2022 to bring you Martinsville Fall at 2021, when Hamlin tried to interrupt Alex Bowman's burnout. The main difference is that Sammy Smith would still do his burnout, despite Jesse Love's best attempts. And to add even more insult to injury, Jesse Love would then do a burnout right in Jesse Love's face. So, that, in a way, that's Sammy Smith telling Jesse Love to eat shit. Oh my, that was honestly the best part of that whole thing. And then we get to a few moments later after, where as soon as Sammy Smith came to a stop, Jesse Love would walk right up to his car with his helmet off, and then he would rip Sammy Smith's window net down and throw a punch at him while Sammy was still in the car. So yeah, we have some beef in ARCA to end the season. But honestly, Jesse Love, if you want to fight Sammy Smith that bad, at least let him get out of the fucking car first and take his helmet off. And also, why the fuck would you punch someone with their helmet still on? That's how you break a fucking wrist, you stupid dumbass. Like, I'll just say that. And honestly, let me just say this for the finish. Sammy Smith did nothing wrong to Jesse Love. It's not like that was literally a bump and run. That was a textbook move for the win. Like, that's hard racing. Like Sammy Smith literally did what anybody else would have done in that situation. He didn't wreck Jesse Love. He just moved him out of the way. But yeah, I'll say this to Jesse Love. If Jesse Love keeps that attitude up in like trucks or Xfinity, he's gonna get his ass whooped one day. And honestly, fighting someone while they were still in the car, that's a chicken shit move on Jesse Love's part. But hey, at least we know Sammy Smith has a future. His future is 100% bright, but Jesse Love, a lot to be desired. He definitely has a lot of growing up to do. It's kind of sad that Jesse Love won back-to-back ARCA West titles. It's like, seriously, this guy won back-to-back ARCA West titles? Yeah, because that's kind of sad. And there was even fighting in the grandstands between both team members in the crowd. So yeah, it got out of control in Toledo. Like, shit went down in Toledo. Like, honestly, I'm glad Toledo's back as the ARCA finale. Hopefully it stays that way for years to come. ARCA should have never left Toledo for the finale. It should have always stayed there. But yeah, that was a pretty good finish. That was a pretty crazy race for ARCA to end the season. So now the ARCA season is over. So yeah, and don't worry, this ain't the only time we're mentioning ARCA in this recap, so stay tuned. Now we go on to the Modifieds race at Thompson Speedway, the second last race of the season in that tight championship battle. So of course, Eric Goodale, he would end up having issues early in the race after he was caught up in this crash. Much of this race, it was dominated by Doug Colby. Like, Justin Bonsignor, he struggled throughout this race. Like, much of the championship contenders throughout this race struggled as they just played it safe to get as many good points a day as they could. Like, McKennedy and Ronnie Silk also struggled too. You know, the three drivers that were mainly in the championship battle all struggled. While Eric Goodale, he would end up bowing his way back because this would end up being a fuel mileage race. And Eric Goodale's only hope to have a chance at the championship at Martinsville in 3 weeks is if he had run the race and got many points as possible. At which Eric Goodale, he would get the lead late from Doug Colby, and then it would turn into a field mileage race. So then the question was, could Eric Goodale make it on fuel? And in the end, the fuel lived. as Eric Goodale would get the win at Thompson Speedway. So Eric Goodale got the win, and with the other 3 championship contenders struggling in the race, it means that at Martinsville we will have a 4-way fight for the championship between Ron Silk, Justin Bonsignor, John McKennedy, and Eric Goodale. For Eric Goodale, of course, he has a chance, but he's more of a long shot chance. He'll need a lot of help to have a chance of winning the title. But yeah, that's going to be exciting, the championship battle to watch in Martinsville in 3 weeks. So yeah, one more race for our modifieds this year. That's going to be an exciting championship fight between those 4. Can't wait to see who comes out on top. But honestly, any of those 4 would be a worthy champion this year. But yeah, 1 race left in modifieds in 3 weeks. So now with all those races out of the way, and there was also a Mexico Series race that was won by Jose Luis Ramirez, but it's a close championship in that title fight with Ruben Garcia still holding the lead. But I think that title is Ruben Garcia Jr.'s championship to lose. But anyway, with all that out of the way, thank you all for playing, but now, time to turn our attention to the races that truly matter this weekend. So we have our Xfinity cutoff race at Charlotte Roval. Of course, 2 drivers are locked in to the round of 8 with Noah Gragson and AJ Allmendinger, and we have 6 spots still up for grabs. So of course in this race, Ty Gibbs, he got enough stage points in stage 1 to lock himself in. So Gibbs moves on, so after stage 1, only 5 spots remain. And then after stage 2, Austin Hill, he would gain enough stage points throughout the first 2 stages to lock himself into the next round. So after the first 2 stages, we would have 4 spots still up for grabs. So of course, for this situation, and also in this race, Josh Berry, Justin Allgaier, and Sam Mayer, they got enough stage points and they finished well enough in the race. Like, Allgaier finished like top 5. Berry finished top 10, and Sam Mayer finished 11th. Like, all of them, they had good enough finishes. They got good enough stage points to move. They locked themselves into the next round. So that meant in the closing laps, we would have only 1 spot up for grabs. And it was really a 3-way fight between Daniel Hemrick, Terrible Herbst, and Brandon Jones. Of course, Jeremy Clements, he was in a must-win scenario, and he wasn't really that competitive in the race. So overall, this means that Jeremy Clements has officially been eliminated. Let's be real, Clements honestly had no business being in this chase. It really showed in this chase he had no business being here. Just Jeremy Clements just flat out didn't belong in the chase. He just didn't belong here. So yeah, at least we no longer have to pretend Clements actually has a chance at the championship. So of course, meanwhile up front, we would have a battle for the win late between Ty Gibbs and AJ Allmendinger. Like, Ty Gibbs dominated much of this race. Like, it was between him and Allmendinger, but Allmendinger would be race Gibbs aggressively enough to get the lead on the late restart. And then in the first overtime, we would have Riley Herbst. He would end up having some crash damage earlier. He would gamble on track position while having a fender rubbing the tire. It would not work, and then Herbst would then end up with a flat tire, have to pit for new tires. And then Herbst would then crash into the inside wall, and that crash would be the final nail in Herbst's coffin. As with that crash, it means that Terrible Herbst has officially been eliminated. I'll just say this for Riley Herbst. This season was at least an improvement over what last year was. Like he actually had some speed. He just could not put it all together. Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe next year with a lot of the big names leaving the series, like the Gibbs and Gregsons, maybe Herbst can finally win a race, but I have my doubts. But yeah, just, a lot still left to be decided from Herbst. This is kind of a disappointing exit because he had some good speed. It just didn't materialize for him in the end. So yeah, kind of disappointing from Herbst. So then in the closing laps, while AJ Allmendinger, he would go on and he would hold off Ty Gibbs for the win at the Roval. So Allmendinger, he goes 4 for 4 at the Charlotte Roval, wins 4 in a row on the Roval. So yeah, Allmendinger is still undefeated on the Roval at 4-0. So yeah, Allmendinger won 2 out of 3 races this round. Honestly, this is probably the least surprising outcome. So now Allmendinger's at 5 wins this year, and Allmendinger gets 5 more bonus points toward the chase. So yeah, that's pretty it. So yeah, congrats to Allmendinger there. So then the question was, what happens between the 3-man fight for the final spot between Ryan Sieg, Daniel Hemric, and Brandon Jones? In the end, for Sieg and Hemric, they would not do enough to make the points up, as Brandon Jones would do everything he would need to move on, as he would finish ahead of both of them by finishing in 7th. And he would edge out Sieg for the final spot by 5 points. So with that, it means that Brandon Jones has the 5th. Brandon Jones gets the final spot into the round of 8. Gets the 8th and final spot. And this means that Ryan Sieg and Daniel Hemric have both been officially eliminated. So yeah, for Daniel Hemric, we have the reigning Xfinity champion out in the first round of the chase. So we're guaranteed a brand new Xfinity Series champion after all this. So yeah, we're guaranteed a brand new champion, because with the way the rest of the field is, regardless of who wins the title, someone's walking out with their first Xfinity title. At this point, we're guaranteed a first-time champion. So yeah, like honestly, this is probably least surprising. Like, Hemric's been a massive disappointment this year. Like, I thought Hemric was going to be good this year. He's just been very disappointing. Like, I thought he was going to do well in that 11 car, considering what Justin Haley did in that car. It just never materialized this year. Like, he just looked worse. And I knew Hemric wasn't going to have the same run he had last year for the championship, because it's very hard to replicate that kind of season 2 years in a row. But yeah, just in the end, Hemric just didn't do enough to perform when it mattered. He just didn't deserve to move on to the next round. And honestly, Ryan Sieg, Sieg showed some flashes this year, but he just had typical crapmobile luck. Just in the end, just didn't do enough. Just wasn't good enough to move on. Like, really, I honestly feel like that final spot was between Terrible Herps and Brandon Jones, but once Terrible Herps crashed out, it just gave an easier path to Brandon Jones to move himself on to the next round. So yeah, the Xfinity round of 8 field is set. It's Ty Gibbs, Austin Hill, Noah Gragson, AJ Allmendinger, Josh Berry, Justin Allgaier, Sam Mayer, and Brandon Jones. So yeah, all Junior Motorsports moves on to the round of 8. So yeah, the round of 8 begins next week at Las Vegas. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty interesting for sure, for Xfinity. But yeah, the Xfinity field moves on. We move on to next week. But before we move on to the Cup race, though, we do have some silly season news to take care of, because for AJ Allmendinger, for his efforts in Xfinity, he has now been rewarded for it. Because Kaulig has been talking about only having one driver run the 16-car full-time in Cup next year. Of course, Kaulig was looking at having Kyle Busch for that ride. But Kaulig got outbid by RCR in the closing hours. So in the end, Kaulig was trying to gun for Kyle Busch, and they missed. So in the end, the Kaulig just took a safe route and just promoted from within, and went with a safe option for that car to add some stability to the team. As they will go for a veteran. And that veteran will be AJ Allmendinger. So Allmendinger will be back running Cup full-time for the first time since 2018. So Allmendinger is back in the Cup Series full-time. And honestly, with him in his early 40s, this will probably be his last run in the Cup Series for 2-3 years. I think he's just a bridge driver for who they got in Xfinity taking the 16 car. Because taking the 16 car in Xfinity will be Chandler Smith. Very interesting. So Chandler Smith is going into that car. To be perfectly honest, I feel like Allmendinger's just a bridge driver until Chandler Smith's developed for 2 or 3 years and ready to go. Like, I think Allmendinger's just going to help build that team up to try and put Chandler Smith in a good position when Chandler does come up to Cup in a few years. So yeah, and also Kaulig will be bringing back Landon Castle and Daniel Hemric. So yeah, Kaulig has their Xfinity lineup set for next year. So yeah, next year, AJ Allmendinger, Ty Gibbs, and Noah Gragson are all going to be out of the Cup Series. Which means next year's Xfinity Championship is pretty wide open. You know, maybe Riley Herbst gets a win next year. Maybe Sam Mayer finally wins a race next year. Maybe Chandler Smith will scorch the earth like Allmendinger did, and Gragson and Gibbs before him. You know, Xfinity's going to be very interesting for sure. Of course, and we also had some F1 silly season news that we'll address here, but not in Days of Our Mercedes. As, Alpine has announced their second driver in the silly season. And that second driver will be Pierre Gasly. So yeah, Pierre Gasly is getting that second Alpine seat, and it's going to be teammates with Esteban Ocon. So we're going to have two French drivers as teammates on a French team. Well, we'll talk about ultimately catering to your French crowd. But damn, that's actually a pretty good lineup for Alpine. I wanted that lineup. Like, it's fine. So yeah, Esteban Ocon is finally free from Red Bull. He is finally free. He finally gets an opportunity to be the top guy at a different team. Now whether him and Esteban Ocon can coexist long enough, that's yet to be seen. But I'll say this, Alpine's future is at least pretty bright. And of course, I'm taking the second AlphaTauri seat next year will be Nick DeVries. So, very interesting choice for sure. So yeah, all that's really left is what happens with the second Williams seat, with in terms of Nicholas Latifi, if he comes back or not, or Goat Tiffy, as everyone likes to call him for last year. And what happens with that second Haas seat? Does Daniel Ricciardo go to Haas or Williams, or is Ricciardo out of a ride next year? Because there have been rumors that the second Haas seat could go to Nico Hulkenberg. So there's a lot of, because we don't know what's going to happen with Mick Schumacher. We also don't know what's going to happen with Mick Schumacher too. So yeah, a couple things still left to be decided in F1 silly season. But yeah, that's just all the silly season news that happened this weekend. And before we get to the Cup race, though, we ain't done just yet with all the news because, yeah, remember that 25-point penalty William Byron got for wrecking Denny Hamlin under caution? Well, the appeal happened this week, and for some strange reason, NASCAR decided to overturn the penalty, but extend his fine to $100,000. So William Byron, he gets his 25 points back, which means entering the Roval, he's now 14 points above the cut line he's 11 points above the cut line instead of being 14 behind. Or 14, or vice versa. And he only gets fined $100,000 for wrecking Hamlin? Are you fucking kidding me? As an HMS fan, I am pissed at that call. That is a bad call by NASCAR to overturn that penalty. Bad. Because it's like, hey, Byron literally, it's like, so like when NASCAR overturned the penalty, NASCAR just showed everybody that it is now okay to wreck someone under caution for entertainment purposes. Like, NASCAR just set themselves down a dangerous precedent with this ruling. Like, Byron deserved the 25-point penalty. It's not like he had the book thrown at him like Kevin Harvick did. And don't worry, we're going to go to the Harvick penalty in a little bit. But, like, it's not like he was docked like 50 or 60 points. He only got docked 25. That wasn't much considered that Kyle Busch got suspended one race for wrecking Hornaday under caution 11 years ago at the same fucking track. And let's be real, I saw the video, Byron intentionally wrecked Hamlin under caution. Byron didn't even hide it on the radio when Byron said he's had enough of Hamlin's bullshit. Like, Byron flat out admitted that he wrecked Hamlin on purpose. And everyone's saying, oh, Hamlin should have got a penalty too, and it was justified. Hamlin did nothing wrong to Byron. Like, what are we, that incident between Hamlin and Byron in turn 2? That was literally what Byron did to Logano at Darlington. That was hard racing. Like, Byron deserved the penalty because he overreacted for that overreaction. Because Byron got PTSD from Darlington. And everyone's saying, oh, well, Hamlin, like, in a perfect world, like, if NASCAR didn't botch that officiating call at Texas, Byron should have been parked 2 or 3 laps on the spot. and Hamlin should have got his spot back because, oh yeah, with Byron dumping Hamlin cost Byron. Hamlin was screwed out of 20 positions on the track because Hamlin was running second at that time. And had a car that was probably capable of winning the race, especially with all the tire failures that happened at Texas. And Byron 100% manipulated the outcome of that race. Like, if Byron wrecked Hamlin under green flag, I would probably wouldn't say anything. We wouldn't be having this conversation. But he dumped Ham under yellow, and that's where I have a problem with that. That's a no-fly zone. I don't give a fuck who it was or who instigated. You do not wreck someone under yellow. That is one of the biggest chicken shit moves you can ever do. And honestly, don't be surprised if other drivers start doing it too now. On some ARCA level type bullshit. But hey, NASCAR just flat out showed they're not going to do anything about it. As long as nobody gets hurt because, dumping someone under yellow is entertaining. Entertainment purposes. It's like, seriously, NASCAR's just trying to manufacture as much fucking drama as they can because it's the goddamn chase. All I say to Byron fans is that have no problem with him doing it to Hamlin under caution. I hope all you keep that same energy when Hamlin does it back to Byron. I hope all you keep that same energy when Hamlin returns the favor under caution. Because, hey, if Byron's allowed to do it under yellow, that means everybody else should be allowed to under that same rule. But honestly, this all could have been avoided if NASCAR actually fucking officiated it properly at Texas. Instead, we get an outright clusterfuck of a situation. But anyway, let's move on to the Cup race. I'm not even going to waste too much time on this Cup race. I don't even want to talk about everything about the Chase Grid and all that stuff after the bullshit I saw in this Cup race. Let me just get it right straight here. Chase Elliott got outright fucked over in this race. Like, this race was probably average at best until near the end of the race when Chase Elliott got screwed by. What do you know? NASCAR tried to manufacture drama and entertainment because with 6 to go, we would have ourselves a debris caution for a plastic sign in turn 6 off the racing roof. And here is the interesting point I'll put up here from Denny Hamlin and a few others. A lot of drivers reported that sign was there for over 20 to 50 laps. Since around 20 to go, 26, 25 to go, till around the start of stage 3. Around that range was when that sign first appeared. So when you're in that range. So literally, NASCAR literally waited until near the end of the race to coincidentally throw the caution because that was coincidentally when they first noticed. Let me say this, if NASCAR's trying to sell themselves as a real sport, riddle me this. If you knew that sign was there in the first place, why the fuck would you wait till 6 to go to throw the yellow instead of when it first became a fucking problem in the first place? Like, NASCAR literally waiting until 6 to go just to manufacture the drama and entertainment for a boring race, for a pretty average race. This just makes that whole thing even worse. Like, NASCAR literally rigged and manipulated the outcome of this race just for entertainment purposes, just so it could be entertaining. And what do you know, Chase Elliott ends up getting wrecked shortly after. And I expect the Elliott fans to be pretty calm and collected to Tyler Reddick when really Chase Elliott should not have been in that position in the first place. Honestly, I do agree. There should have been a caution there for it. But not with 6 to go. It should have been a lot earlier than that when it first became a problem. But no, that's not the NASCAR way. Because if NASCAR did it earlier, that wouldn't be entertaining enough. We have to do it till late in the race. Just to give everyone a manufactured finish and a manufactured drama because of this manufactured Gimmick Chase Grid bullshit. Yeah, it also doesn't help that we have that's also happening with crappy-ass car with crappy-ass parts. Especially parts that keep breaking because, oh look, Daniel Suarez has power steering issues and he did everything right. Too bad. You don't get to move on to the next round of the chase. Oh look, Kyle Larson, he broke a toe link in his car. he might have a chance to move on. Nah, we're just gonna have Cole Custer hold 2 or 3 cars up, just so Chase Briscoe has a chance to back his way into the round of 8, when Chase Briscoe has no business being anywhere near the round of 8. And oh look, Kevin Harvick might actually get a win to help ease the blow for being eliminated in round 1 and again getting the book thrown at him. Nope, Christopher Bell gets the win because, yeah, must-win scenario. We want those walk-off Game 7 type moments. And honestly, no fault to Christopher Bell. Like, he made a good strategy call in that situation. He made the most of it by taking 4 fresh tires and rocketing through the field and getting the win. I mean, no fault to Christopher Bell, but it's also kind of sad that all 3 of Christopher Bell's wins came at the expense of Chase Elliott. Especially when 2 of those wins came in races that Chase Elliott had in the bag. And we were also set up for a pretty interesting battle before that caution came out 6 to go between Chase Elliott and AJ Allmendinger, because Allmendinger was starting to wheel in Chase Elliott. He was starting to close that gap down. And yeah, that was the big question is, could AJ Allmendinger have run down Chase Elliott in the closing laps? And the truth is, we will never truly know. We were having a pretty interesting battle until NASCAR ruined it. Like, NASCAR 100% rigged and manipulated this finish. Just to have entertainment. Just so they could have the outcome they wanted. Like, Jesus. And you wonder why people stop watching this shit. And also, this point is pretty interesting by Natalie Decker. That bars around that Charlotte Motor Speedway area weren't even showing this race and were showing NFL instead. So yeah, it seems like even a bunch of local bars in the area want nothing to do with this bullshit. And you wonder why people keep... And like honestly, this finish here, this gives ammo to every single fan that thinks this shit is rigged / manipulated. Like honestly, rigged, manipulated, whatever word you want to use, whatever wording you want to use or makes you feel comfortable, it's up to you, man. Like, whatever makes you happy, because at the end of the day, rigged and manipulated, they're both kind of the same damn thing. Just a few minor differences in between. So, yeah. But hey, NASCAR, of course, they still like what they're seeing out there. So, yeah, in the end... Kyle Larson gets eliminated because of crappy-ass parts and a late caution. And because of William Byron having his penalty rescinded. Because keep this in mind. William Byron is only moving on to the round of 8 because of his 25-point penalty being rescinded. Because without that penalty being overturned, Byron would have got eliminated by 14 points. And Larson would have moved on. So yeah, that penalty being overturned cost Larson a shot to defend his title. So because of NASCAR manufacturing the finish, we're now guaranteed a new champion. So yeah, Larson won't have the chance to go back-to-back now. So yeah, that's kind of disappointing. But yeah, this also shows how stupid this format is. Especially with that win and you advance, win and you're in stupid stipulation. I mean, no fault to Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell has actually had a pretty underrated season. Like, his numbers are pretty on par with Chase Elliott's. Like, the only difference is that Chase Elliott has 3 more wins than Christopher Bell. Other than that, both of them have been pretty dead even this year. There may be just some runs that didn't showcase some Bell this year. But yeah, and also the 3 wins. Like I said, the 3 wins make a big difference. But yeah, Bell's actually had a pretty underrated championship caliber season. He's been under the radar. I've been saying all year that Christopher Bell has been the better driver at JGR, not Denny Hamlin. Because yeah, Hamlin had 2 wins, but Bell has been way more consistent than Denny Hamlin. And also, with this format, anyone that wants to defend this format, you're going to tell me that Kyle Larson's season wasn't good enough for a title? But Chase Briscoe, who's had 7 top 10s this year and has been irrelevant all fucking season, you're telling me that season is worthy of a championship, but Larson's isn't? Fuck right off. Like, honestly, Chase Briscoe is just becoming the Cup Series version of Matt Crafton. Does fuck all season, but always does the bare minimum to bullshit his way further than he should. Like, honestly, Briscoe is bullshit. Briscoe has somehow found every way to bullshit his way further in the chase than he should have. Like, honestly, Briscoe should have either been eliminated in the first round, or he should not even been in the chase to begin with. But somehow he's taken advantage of how broken this format is, and has bullshit his way into the round of 8. And honestly, it wouldn't even be surprising at this point if Briscoe bullshits his way into the Final 4, or even backs his way into the championship. Because, yeah, that's what this format kind of tends to do, because all this Chase Grid bullshit wants to do, it's just reward mediocrity and fuck over drivers that are actually fucking deserving of the title. Honestly, let me be clear about this. This shit's going to fucking continue until either A, someone gets killed from this shit, or B, until the drivers and teams get fed up and say enough is enough and they go on strike / go on boycott. And that's pretty close to happening. Especially since the TV deals, because the TV deal negotiations are starting, and NASCAR and the teams, they're pretty far apart in these things. So yeah, buckle up, because these type of contract negotiations, they never tend to end well. I definitely could see a strike coming in 2025, when the current TV deal expires after 2024. So yeah, buckle up. These type of deals never end well. And these are also the first TV negotiations without Brian France. And usually the ones with Brian France's drunk, stupid ass have been the ones that have gone without a problem. And coincidentally, the one without Brian France are the ones that are having problems now. Damn, maybe Brian France wasn't the problem, but he sure as fuck wasn't the solution. It seems like the problem goes a lot deeper than that. That rabbit hole goes deeper. But yeah, like honestly, at this point, I really don't even care who wins the championship at this point. I really don't care. Even if Elliott wins the title, so what? I don't care. Because the title literally means nothing at this point. Like Kevin Harvick even said it best 2 years ago. The trophy is just a bonus. These titles aren't the same as the ones that Petty and Earnhardt used to win. Look, at this point, I'd rather have Chase Elliott go out and win races than win a championship. The title is just a bonus. Like, hell, it's Lightning McQueen even said in Cars 1, it's just an empty cup. Like, let me just say this here, and this is the part that frustrates me the most. When a fucking ARCA championship means more than a fucking Bill France Cup, there is a problem. Because the Bill France Cup, the trophy for the Cup Series, that's supposed to be the most prestigious trophy in all of North American stock car racing. But when an ARCA title means more than the Bill France Cup, then why the fuck should I give a shit about the Cup Series then? Why should I care then? Hell, in that case, you may as well throw Xfinity and Trucks in there, because those titles have about the same amount of meaning as the Bill France Cup. Nothing. Like at this point, I might as well just go to fucking watch ARCA full-time, or watch the Penny Series full-time, or the Modifieds, or the Euro Series, or the Mexico Series, or hell, even watch IndyCar and F1, or IMSA, or hell, even that new Youth Series coming next year. Like, I might as well watch those series more than the Cup Series, because those championships will actually fucking mean something instead of the Bill France Cup. Like, literally, the Bill France Cup has about as much meaning as this fucking piece of paper. Nothing. It literally is an empty cup. It ain't the same as what it used to be. Which is why I fucking despise this format. Honestly, get rid of the fucking chase and go back to a season-long points format. But NASCAR won't do that. And the most frustrating part is that you can't talk back about it. Because if you do, you'll end up having the book thrown at you for it. Just look at Kevin Harvick. Oh, what, you think Kevin Harvick had the book thrown at him for a fucking modified rear deck lid? Fuck no. NASCAR just wanted a fucking excuse to throw the book at Harvick for bad-mouthing the new car. You want to know what really also amplifies that? The fact that Kevin Harvick was selling crappy-ass parts t-shirts the last week or two before that penalty guy came out. And also, isn't it coincidental and suspicious that penalty came out the moment that Harvick was doubling and tripling down on how unsafe this car was and how much of a piece of crap it was? Isn't that strange and coincidental that happened? But yeah, Harvick's selling the t-shirts. He's going the old Alex Bowman route. So yeah, that's actually pretty funny on Harvick's part. But yeah. And honestly, even if it was a modified deck wood, it was probably not even for a performance advantage. It was probably for safety. Since, the reason Harvick was bashing the next-gen car was because of how unsafe it is. So they were probably modifying it for safety reasons so it fucking collapsed better so Harvick doesn't have his fucking brain destroyed when he backs the car into the fucking wall. So yeah, NASCAR, if it was a modification, NASCAR literally just told Harvick you're not allowed to be safer than everybody else. Which I call bullshit. NASCAR just wanted a fucking excuse to throw the book at Harvick for bad-mouthing the new car. And that isn't even the first time that's happened because, 2013, Denny Hamlin called the Gen 6 car a work in progress. Didn't even say the car sucked. He said it had potential, just needed a lot of work to be done. NASCAR threw a $25,000 fine at him for actions that resemble the stock car racing. 2016, Tony Stewart bashed NASCAR's lug nut policy. Got fined $25,000 for actions detrimental to stock car racing. And then coincidentally changed the lug nut policy. That's frustrating itself. Also for the Hamlin one, a couple days after they threw the fine to Hamlin, NASCAR executives then went on and said the Gen 6 was a work in progress. Like, seriously. And then 2019, Kyle Busch saying the 550 horsepower package fucking sucked. And NASCAR threw him a $25,000 fine for it. For actions detrimental to stock car racing. And then Kyle Busch said it 2 more times to call NASCAR's bluff. And NASCAR didn't fine him for the other 2, but they fined him for the first time. And Kyle Busch wasn't wrong. The 550 package did fucking suck. So yeah, there are examples that NASCAR doesn't want you to badmouth the sport or say anything bad about the car. Or you had the book thrown at you. I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, but Steve Phelps said that's ridiculous and they don't have a vendetta against Harvick. Of course Steve Phelps is going to fucking say that. What is Steve Phelps supposed to say in that situation? Is he supposed to say, oh, well, we don't like what Kevin Harvick said about the new car, and, we don't like that he badmouths the new car even though it races pretty well on intermediate tracks, and, we don't like that Harvick was selling t-shirts saying crappy-ass parts and trying to make money off badmouthing the car, because that hurts all of our feelings here in NASCAR executive branch, and, so we had to make a fucking example out of Harvick in order to show everyone that this type of behavior was unacceptable. Even though it's constructive criticism, but we don't know fucking nothing about that. And we also like what we're seeing out there, and we think this format is still a legitimate way of crowning the champion. Like with Steve Phelps, what are we supposed to fucking say that? I mean, you gotta make it look less obvious that you threw the book, that you're trying to fuck Harvick over with that. Like, honestly, NASCAR's fucking penalties is a fucking joke. This entire Cup Series is a fucking joke. Like, I'm not even looking forward to the next 4 races, even though it's Vegas and Homestead. And even if Chase Elliott or William Byron win the championship, who really gives a shit? It's an empty cup. The cup means nothing. It's a meaningless trophy at the end of the day. And it will continue to mean nothing until NASCAR one day gets their fucking heads out of their asses and gets rid of the chase. And goes back to a season-long points format. But that's never gonna happen. Even despite how many times we bitch about this format, it's never gonna happen. And we're gonna keep having the same shit here. Plus, with the current way the current TV deal is, we're still stuck with the Chase Grid for at least 2 more years. Even with the ratings going down and the average finish for every Cup Series champion going down, it's still not going to force NASCAR to change it because they like what they're seeing out there. And it's entertaining because all NASCAR cares about is that big E word, entertainment. At this point, I don't really blame anybody for leaving the sport. Or at least stop watching the Cup Series in general. Like, honestly, I'd say don't even stop watching the Cup Series in general. Like, honestly, just watch more ARCA, watch more the Penny Series, watch more Modifieds. You know, watch more Mexico Series or Euro Series, or go put all your attention in the Ute Series next year. Along with IndyCar and F1. Because at least those championships mean more than the Bill France Cup. And that's a problem. Because the Bill France Cup, like I mentioned, it's supposed to be the most prestigious title in all of North American motorsports. And it has next to no meaning. It means nothing. It's an empty cup. Like, honestly, it's kind of sad when I'm more interested in an ARCA championship battle than the Cup Series chase. Like, that should not be the case. I should be more excited for a Cup Series championship battle than an ARCA title battle, not the other way around. Hell, I'm more excited about the Modifieds championship battle at Martinsville in 3 weeks. And I gotta wait 3 weeks for that one. Than the Cup Series chase. Like, honestly, for that Martinsville weekend, I'm gonna be more excited about the Modifieds title than who makes the Final Four in the Cup Series. Or the Xfinity Series. Like, this sport is just so goddamn frustrating. It's the equivalent of being in an abusive relationship. You don't know why you're still in it, but the only thing keeping you together is the family dog, and it just gets settled with a very depressing hand job. Like, all I say is at least HMS's championship window is wide open. Because I've really questioned my fandom for this sport for a long time. Like, there are just a few things that just keep me from being in this sport. I've always liked this sport for 24 years. Ever since I was a kid. But it's becoming so much of a goddamn chore to watch. It's just, how much more can I fucking take of this bullshit? Just how much more until enough's enough? And the NASCAR driver strike is coming eventually. It's coming. It's inevitable. It's not a matter of if it happens, but when. And how many teams and drivers will it be? I mean, hey, if a driver strike happens, maybe a driver strike will actually wait to NASCAR get in their fucking heads out of their asses for once. And actually make real fucking changes for once. Honestly, go watch more ARCA and Modifieds and Penny Series, Mexico, Euro, Youth, IndyCar, and F1. It's a lot more better and entertaining, and you get a more deserving champion than this bullshit we're watching right now. You can thank me later. Just very frustrating to be a fan of this sport. Because I want this fucking sport to succeed, and this sport is doing everything they can to be something that they're not. And I am going to do that Chase Grid rant video at the end of the season. It's coming. I'm just waiting till the end of the season to strike. But yeah, anyway, I think that wraps it up here. Can't wait to see what kind of bullshit they pull at Las Vegas next week. I'm out.